Tomas, we'll get started here. I'm sure some more people are going to be in the process of connecting, but I don't want to take much of your time from your presentation. So good afternoon, everybody. Thank you all for joining us for this seminar. I believe most of you already know Tomas, but I'll go through a brief introduction for those of you who don't. Although he was born here in the US, Tomas spent most of his life in Costa Rica, so that's what he claims to be where he's from. He completed his vet degree in Argentina at Universidad in La Plata, and right after graduation, he joined us here at Farms, first as a research assistant. He's been a very vital part of our research program. He has collaborated in many of our projects and has developed a couple of his own. This one that he's going to present his data to you today is one of those that he led during his time here in Gainesville. Now he's an intern here at the Food Animal Reproduction and Medicine Service. We're very happy to have him. There's a few housekeeping. Make sure that you mute your microphone. We'll try to save all the questions to the end. Unless you have a very burning question, we can amend that. But if you could hold your questions to the end, we can have a Q&A session after Tomas finished presenting his data. So with that, Tomas, the floor is all yours. Thank you very much for sharing your results with us.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Dr. Pisinaro. And thank you all the people joining us today. So the topic that we're going to talk today is going to be selective reproductive strategies for lactating dairy cows using digital technologies. So the first thing I'm going to show here is going to be how is the evolution of the cows in the last 50 years. So in this graphic and the next three graphics I'm going to show here, you'll see how in the x-axis you can see how is the years going, and in this case you see how much is the milk production. So you can see the production in milk in dairy cows have a really exponential increase in the last years. In this one here is talking about the inventory of the animals you have in the US. Again, showing the x-axis, the years, how it's going in the last 50 years, couple more, and how much is the animals we have in millions in the US. And you can see it since years 50 is going decreasing and lies in a lot of numbers. But something really interesting here is the production of milk in these cows is increasing. This in the x-axis, you can see the years again, and here is in pounds, how much the cows they are producing in millions. So you see the last years, the production is going high. So it's interesting to see here is how the cows, we have been selecting cows for be productive, increase the milk production, and we can produce the same or more amount of milk with less animals. But the problem is in this process, we are doing the selection. Some of the things we're giving not much space to improve. Some of this is the part of the reproduction. So talking about reproduction, the heat expression of the animals is really critical to understand for the well work with animals in the reproduction area. So it's different signs, and this is data from two different publications. You can see different signs in estrus changing behavior in the cows. You can see the flaming, sniffing vulva in other cows, mounted but not standing, resting chin in the back in other cows, mount and other cows who attempt to do it, mount inside and other cows. And you see all these ones I mentioned here, they are really in specific signs in the cows. And you can see here in percentage how the animals express this. And the sign, you can see the primary sign, you can call the animal as a cow in heat. It is standing to be mounted. In this research they present here, they have just 56 of the animals presenting this behavior. So now, in the reproduction aspects, you have different limitations. You have the personal limitation, how you train the personal, how often they can go to the place. The commotion disease, animals with the commotion disease of one painful area gonna express, it's not gonna go to mold another cow. The installations, how we're doing this in the last years, animals in this type of floors, they're more slippery. They can have affecting to express the estrous behavior. The management you have in the cows, the heat stress, really important, and as well the milk production. So with all these limitations you can have in the market, you have different options, different tools you can use for be more efficient in the reproduction aspects. You can have the tail chalk painting, Estrous, KMAR, these three working the same concept. So when a cow is in heat, she will be mounted for another cow, and this movement, this interaction is gonna release or change the pattern of of these tools. For example, the chalk is gonna remove, Estrous is gonna change the color as well the KMAR. Something else you can use is training personnel, go to the farm, but here you have the problems is the fake hits. And this one is not for heat detection, it's for efficiency of reproduction, is the different use of hormones. So you can use for this. Sorry. So going a little bit more this is a data from USDA 2014. And here the first graphic I'm gonna show the percentage of operations. They divide in small farms, medium farms, and large farms, according to the numbers of animals they have and the percentage of farms. You can see how much time AI programs they use for the installations. So you can see, for example, in this data, in this presentation they have here, the cows showing, for example, in the small farms is just 45%, but if you go to the large farms, they have more, around 70%. This is more common, this data from all the countries, so this is more common in the east side. And then in the right side, we have the same, but different presentation is in years. So how going years, how much time they are using the time AR protocols and the percentage of farms. So all the farms they have here, for example, the small farms, you can see in blue. If you do the 100% of these farms, most of the farms are more than 9 years, 9 years or more using these different protocols. Now, going back with the last slide, I'm gonna see something else for reproduction efficiency is the auto monitoring devices you can use for more efficiency. You have different options in the market. You can use different signs the cows can express, changes in activity, change in rumination, change in temperature. So different tools you can use for assess, for see the animals that are in heat. And research according to this has been increasing in a couple of years. So in the PubMed, you can see, for example, around the year 2007, the publications about devices, monitoring devices in dairy have exponential decrease. In our research project, we use one of these tools for cows. We use the system, the SCR system cows. So this system works this way. This is a collar. This is the device. It's going the left side of the neck. This is gonna read constantly the cow. This information is gonna send to a antenna, and this antenna is gonna send to a computer. In this computer, one program, the name is DataFlow2, is gonna receive this information. It's gonna pass this information in linear graphics. It's gonna see in intervals of 2 hours, gonna give you 12 reports per day. So you can see how the changes in the patterns, activity, and rumination is the one thing these scholars can read. Something important is how this system, how devices measure these changes in animals is for according to the movement of the head when the cow is moving, when the movement of the head, and then the same with when they are chewing. So now, go more with this system. So in the computer, where you're gonna see, you have different options. You can see here in the screen, you can see, for example, the activity here, all changes, a couple of things, rumination, and this one is the one we use. In this one here, you can see the activity. Something really important is once you feed the cow with the collar, it's gonna take around 5 days when you feed, and they're gonna start to show this their own activity, because you need time to the cow create your own threshold. So something else important here is you can have increasing activity for different things. In this case, is for a change of the pen, for change of the group. So you have to put attention to that. So let's go with the rumination now. So the rumination, you will see the same. You can see how the patterns change. The thing here is when you feed the collar, for this one you have 2 more days, it's around 7 days. When you're gonna start to see these linear graphics, you can start to interpret it. And when the cows have the heat, you can see how it drops the rumination. So if you go to this part, and this is the part we use for CR cows, you can see the graphics this way. In this graphic, you can see in green how is activity, and in purple, you can see how is the rumination of the animals. So you have different examples here. So this one is like a nice heat. You can see how is the activity increase and the rumination decrease. Something really important in this, and something really useful you can use in the system as well, is you can measure different changes in your data. For example, you can see the interval you have in one and different, and the next hit, the interval in days. You can see how high is going the activity peak of the animal, how the nadir or rumination, how decrease, and how long in hours is your hit. Something else this system provides you is the heat index. For example, it's a number. It's going to 0 to 100. 0 is a no heat, and 100 is the best heat you can have according to the system. So it's important for us, it is, because you cannot compare, if you compare this heat with this heat, you can see obviously there's a difference between both. So for our data, for our presentation, we're gonna see later, we use the threshold, we use 70. So a heat index 70 we call is a good heat. Animals with heats lower than 70 we call like a low heat or bad heat. Something else really important the system gives you is these alerts. When the cow is detecting heat, the system is gonna give you this alert, and you're gonna see how, when is the breeding window, when is the best moment you can breed your cows. How this works is like this, is when you have the cow in heat, it's gonna give you the alert, and when it's gonna going up, and then when you go to the peak, stay in the peak, and then these hours start to decrease. And this give you, the system give you this recommendation for use these hours for breed the cows. In our data we use for trial, we use 21 animals. They have in 21 in the breeding window, they were able to be bred in multiple cows. We're gonna explain that later. So now, knowing all this, we came with this hypothesis and objective. So our hypothesis is selecting the reproductive strategy for dairy cows according to the estrous characteristics postpartum will reduce the use of reproductive hormones without affecting the reproductive performance. And the objective is determine whether selecting reproductive strategies according to the postpartum estrous characteristics will reduce the use of reproductive hormones without impairing the reproductive efficiency of lactating dairy cows. Our trial or project is really important. Our trial is still running. So some of the data we're gonna see today is final data. Some of the data we're gonna see is preliminary. We start this project in January 5th, 2020. We use a commercial dairy farm in north of Florida, in the north of the state. In our project, we have 930 cows, dairy cows, and all these cows, they were fed with a collar, with a device for heat detection, and all the cows, they were genotyped. This one was post-enrollment. It's something important too. So now, so how do we do the experimental design? How we do the enrollment of the cows? So we enroll the cows and we feed the color and the notches for the tissue, for the genomics. We feed the cows with the collar around 30 days before calving. That day we put the collar, we assign these cows to a specific group. We use the randomization by Excel. We use the days in milk, the milk production, the scary calf, and we divide or we assign the cows in two possible groups, the control group and the study group. So the control group is these cows, they will be all the time with the collar. We're gonna we collect information about the heat they express in all this period. And then on day 41 and 55, we're gonna see two numbers most of the time. The first number is gonna be for multiparous cows, and the second number is gonna be for primiparous cows. On day 41 for multiparous cows, they're gonna start the double upsync, and they're gonna be bred with 65 days in milk. And now in the study group, the same. They're gonna be with collars, the animals, but in this one we're gonna do evaluation of the estrus of the cows. So if the cow have a, we're gonna have collect all the information. We're gonna assign this group. We're gonna divide in two. The decision of one group is going or another group is gonna be 1 day before the cows start the double upsync compared to the control group. The reason is because cows, they don't show heat in all this period here, or they have a low heat, a heat index lower than 70, they're gonna be enrolled in double upsync the same as the control cows. And the cows, they show one heat, a good heat or more, they're gonna be enrolled in this part here. And the important thing is these cows here, they're gonna be bred by the system, by the device, by the collar. We give to the cows two estrous cycle, regular estrous cycle. We give 42 days. So the cow have 42 days to be bred. In case they don't show heat or they have a bad heat in all this time, they're not gonna be bred by the collar, and they're gonna start the double upsync around 82 and 96. This is 82 for multiparous again, 96 for primiparous cows. And then for the second service and for the more service, we're gonna have this. For the control cows, we're gonna call day 0 first. We call day 0 is the day they receive the insemination for the first service. So the control cows, they could be bred if they are detecting heat. This is according to the people in the farm, the trained workers they have there. If they call open this cow in 31 days, they're gonna be go to the 5 days co-sync. In the study group with the collar, they're gonna be bred by the collar, by the system, and the same. If they don't show heat again and they are called open with the confirmation of pregnancy in 30 days, they're gonna start the co-sync. So we're gonna give all the cows the opportunity to be pregnant. And the most important is without affecting the reproductive performance of the farm. So here, something the farm use here for the primiparous cows is a sex semen. For the first three inseminations, after that they use Angus sires. So in the right side here, you see the primiparous cows, and you see how is the distribution. In this part, we have the data for the first, second, and third service. So how the distribution they have for the semen. So for all these cows, they have the sex semen. And for multiparous cows, they were bred just with Angus sires. On the left side, you can see how the distribution of the groups, and you can see it's really uniform. So now with the results, for our results for analysis, we use SAS 9.4. The variable, the binary variables, we use logistic regression using the mix procedures. And for the time-dependent variables, we use analyzed by Cox proportional hazard ratio, and Kaplan-Meier survival curves using the pH reg and live test procedures. again, I'm gonna see this again. So the project is still running. So final results we have now so far is for the first service and second service, and the first service and pregnancy losses for 60 days, by 60 days. Preliminary results we're gonna show today is gonna be rate for third service, second and third service, pregnancy and pregnancy loss by 60 days, and percentage of cows pregnant 150 days in milk. So with the results, we have this graphic here. This is for descriptive statistics. We're gonna see the control group. I assigned the color orange, and the study group or SRS we put a blue, so it's gonna be easy to see both. So here we have the incidence of the cases we have in these both groups. In the XY and then in the XX, you're gonna see different different events happening in the cow. For example, the calving problems you have in both groups, we have no difference between them. In the male calf, the same situation. We have no difference between the control and the SRS. In the uterine disease, no difference between the control and the study group. Lameness, 63 days, and mastitis, 63 days, the same. No difference between the control and the SRS. So this is showing us we have a really homogenic group in the evaluation. So now, for the first service, this is information collecting from the color for the system. 53% of the cows in the control group show at least one heat or more heat, and it's a good heat with a high heat index. In the control group, 51.1% show again one heat or more with high heat index, and this is really important here. 92.5% of the cows, they were assigned to this group because they present at least one heat in this interval, the voluntary wait period here we have for this experiment. 92.5% of the cows, they were bred by the color. So this part is showing us something really interesting already. This is showing us we have the opportunity to breed animals without the using of these hormones, so we can see already, or we can thought about we are here saving some money. So going more with the results, we have the Hester for the first service. So this part we use covariance, see different variables in the for this part of the analysis. So you're gonna see for both groups, in this case control in blue and study group in red, we don't have difference between the treatment. We have difference between the parity, and we have a statistical difference between treatment and parity interaction. So this is our first service results. In the left side, in the y-axis, you have the percentage of pregnancy cows. Again, with the same colors, the orange one is going to be the control cows, the blue is going to be the study group. Here, the first two columns are going to be pre-reproduced cows, and this is going to be 32 days. The second part, we're going to have the multiparous cows with the same colors and the same 32 days. So we split in two. So in here, the treatment, we don't have difference, a statistical difference. In the parity, we don't have a statistical difference, but we have difference in the treatment by parity interaction. The same in the right side, we're gonna have the same distribution, but the difference here is 67 days. This is the reconfirmation of the pregnancies, and we have no difference between treatment, no difference between parity, and we have a statistical difference between the interaction, treatment, parity. The pregnancy losses here, according to they were not effect of treatment in the pregnancy losses for the first service. So the re-insemination we have here something really interesting to show. In the re-insemination, this one is for the control group. They were bred, if you remember, by the people in the farm. They rebred 26.2% of the cows they detect in estrus. With the system, with the colors we use for the study group, 63.3% of the cows they were re-inseminated. So here we have a statistical difference between the treatment, between the parity, we have a statistical difference, and with treatment and parity interaction as well, we have a statistical difference. This is the hazard for re-insemination of the cows in the study. So again, we have in this part we have again the control in the blue and the SRS in red. And we have this statistical difference in treatment, we have a statistical difference in parity, and we have a statistical difference in the treatment by parity. So this is the re-insemination. So the distribution we have here is the same as the first one for the organization of the slide. The control group is going to be in orange, a study group is going to be in blue. The first group of columns is going to be 32 days for the first confirmation, and the second column is going to be 67. So let's go with the 32 confirmation. And the left side, the axis here is going to be the pregnancy, percentage of pregnancy. So in 32 days in the confirmation, according to the treatment, we have no statistical difference. In the parity, we have a tendency, and the treatment by parity, we have not a statistical difference. In the 60 days reconfirmation, we have in these groups, we have treatment, no statistical difference, parity, not a statistical difference, and the treatment by parity interaction, not a statistical difference. So this is the adjust hazard of pregnancy in our group, in our cows. So something important here, something nice to see is the difference we have in groups. By the treatment, we have a statistical difference, and the part of the heat in the voluntary wait period. So according to the classification, in this part, we don't have a statistical difference. So in summary, we can say for this data we're showing today, the devices are a useful tool for heat detection and insemination success. The use of automated mortality devices can reduce the use of hormones for synchronization of ovulation. Use of the devices can reduce the amount of labor needed for success and reproduction. And then this important thing is the devices can reduce the cost in the dairy industry. Because I have a couple more minutes, I'm gonna take a couple more to explain something in our results. So something interesting in our results we have is the pregnancy for the primiparous cows is lower than multiparous cows. So something could be the explanation for this is if you, I'm gonna explain this again. So you put the colors where the animal is detecting heat, they're gonna have this alert. It's the breeding window, what is the best time you can breed the animal. But the thing is, this information is going to stay all the time in the first, like alert is the first is 25 or 26. Once you go to the peak, this alert is going to decrease in hours. So for example, you go here, this cow is going to start the heat. This is the same heat. So this heat, just I put zoom. So in this heat, I start here with 26, and these intervals here is the 2 hours intervals give you the system. So in this interval is going to stay with 26, alert is going to stay 26, 26, until go to the peak. So once they go to the peak, these hours are going to start to decrease. For our multiparous cows, we use the breeding window 21 hours. And for the primiparous cows, we use 15 hours of alert. So that means the cow started in heat all this time, around 8 hours, around 10 hours. They stay in this alert, and then we have to wait 10 more hours for breed the cow. Because if we go here, stay in 26, 26, 26 intervals of 2 hours, going here is 5 intervals, so it's 10 hours. The cow is going to stay here, and then we wait until 15 for breed these cows. So that means we wait 10 hours when the cows start to showing heat to breed the cow. In this farm, in the installation of this farm, they don't have headlocks, so they have to breed the cows when they go to the, where they're coming out from the parlor. So some cow, if she escaped for some reason and she need to be catching the next heat, is gonna be around 8 more hours. So for us, trying to explain what happened for these primiparous cows that showing bad results for pregnancy, we were talking about this. This started in '98 from Dransfield. He used not the same device, he used a different device. So when the cow is in heat and she was mounted for another cow, this is gonna give alert. So once this start, like different of the we have here, once she start in heat, the best time to breed this cow will be around 4 hours. Is here to 12 hours, is like here. So according to them, they have better conception rates doing this. 20 years later, Burnett in Journal of Science, using the same system we use for our trial, she used for see when is the time for ovulation, not for the time for breeding the cows. But she saw once the cows start heat, so we'll be in this area, she's gonna have most of the cows, they're gonna be have the ovulation around 20 hours or 30 hours. She divide here the high peak or low peak. She have the peak she used was 80, 10 more points than us, but the classification is useful for us. So when she started heat, so she saw this, this was the best time, or there was the time the cow they have the ovulation. So this could explain possible we breed the cows late for the primiparous cows. Something else is here we have this different research in 2013. As this he divide primiparous and multiparous and then herd, but let's focus in this part in multiparous and primiparous. He used two protocols, the double upsync and the G6G. So in the Y, he in this area here is the percentage of pregnancy, and he saw the cows with double upsync, they have better results comparing using the double upsync comparing the other protocol with a statistical difference. The same as Sousa, the first time they described the double upsync, the first publication of the double upsync, the same. Primiparous cows, you're gonna be in black, in gray multiparous cows, percentage of pregnant cows in the y-axis. He used the double upsync and the pre-synchronization, and then the upsync, and he saw a statistical difference between the primiparous cows. So this data and this one here as well, the Hurley, she in 2009, the same thing, primiparous cows. She have these results from primiparous cows using double upsync, and for using the pre-sync upsync, she have these results and better than the multiparous cows. So this can give us another answer. Could be something described in Sousa in his publication. He said cows in an estrus could be beneficial by the using of double upsync. So it could be double upsync showing more possible results. Something else, probably we use one heat for our cows. So cows that show one heat, they were very pretty color. Maybe we can have two heats and give us I don't know, better cows or cow with more heats in the system. Something else could be the size of our study. If we go just to primiparous cows, we can divide in 4, for example. So you have the control cows, high heat, control cows, bad heat, and the study group in the high heat and bad heat. So in the high heat, that was the group who showing a really bad results for pregnancy for the first service, and that was the cow we bred by the collar. That was just 65 cows, so probably we need more cows so we can explain better the result we have here. So all this research we're doing here is we're trying to have a nice and more complete selective reproductive strategy. So we're collecting the estrous characteristics, we collect the genomic information. This information arrived a couple weeks ago. So hopefully next time I'm gonna present this information gonna be available to show. And then they continue with information we collect from the farm. They have a dairy comp, and it's really useful for collecting information. So with all this information, probably can give to the producers and to the industry and to academia a better result, how we can do and how we can improve this reproductive performance in the cows. So with all this, I'm done. I'm going to say thank you first to Dr. Ricardo Chibel, Dr. Rafael Vicinoro, Dr. Francisco Peña Garicano, Ana Beatriz, Victoria, Mariana Segundo, and Jessica, people who help us all the time, to the farm, to the system, who help us when we have difficulties and all the questions, and the ST Genetics, they are with the genomic information, give us a hand with that. So with all this, I'm done. Thank you very much. And if you have questions, please unmute. I'm more than welcome to answer.
Thank you very much, Tomas, for the presentation. We have time for questions. So you can either text or please feel free to unmute your microphone and ask the questions that you may have.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Yes.
Tomas, can you show me your experimental design again?
Yes. Sorry, I have to go like this. But
Yeah, that's fine. I think you passed, didn't you?
Here, I think here's better.
Okay. So when you analyze your data, tell me what groups were analyzed, because you had two, yeah?
Yes, two.
So what are the two groups?
So the two groups we're analyzing, we're using the control groups and the study group separate here.
Okay. So the control group is all timed AI, correct?
Correct.
But when I look at your survival curves, they start slowly dropping before the time of your timed AI. If I remember your rate of insemination and rate of pregnancy, it starts going down, your Kaplan-Meier curves start to go down before, if I recall, and they parallel each other with the SRS.
Yes,
I would expect that the rate of insemination, or what you call control, would be a sharp decline over a 14-day window. Can you show the survival curves?
Yes.
You see, like, your cows are being inseminated at 40-some days, even in your control group, correct?
That's correct.
So it seems that they are breeding cows in heat in that group and not necessarily all-timed AI, as you initially planned.
Yeah, that would be correct. Yeah, according to this, would be correct.
At least based on this figure, huh?
Yeah, I need to check the data again here because it could be something interesting. But yeah, the control group should be more like sharp going down here.
A sharp drop, and if everybody received timed AI, they should all be bred within a 14-day, because you have every other week, seems like, yeah? Enrollments every other week, because you have a 14-day window for first service. So it should be a 14-day, and then, except for those that they miss or, get lost in the pens or whatever happens.
Correct, correct. Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna check that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Tomas, I have a question for you. It's more to pick your brains on this. So you described well why the timed AI protocols are used. Uh, if you think about, there's part of it that is appealing because of the logistics. You can control when cows are going to be bred for the first time, and you also guarantee that everybody's bred by a certain days in milk. And in that process, you are manipulating the events in the ovary, timing of luteal regression, ovulation. When you put these collars, there's a huge gain comparing ineffective systems to detect estrus and a much more efficient system to detect estrus, but the follicle that the cows are ovulating are basically the same, correct? They're growing without interference, and they ovulate at the time that they're going to ovulate. How do you see potential losses in fertility when you compare a program that was designed to induce ovulation of the highest quality follicle possible versus an efficient system for heat detection, but that the follicle is subjected to whatever physiological responses the cows are presenting?
So according to our data, so what we saw so far with the pregnancy losses, we don't have any difference. If we have to think about, like, see more, we have to continue with the different services, right? So this is just the first we have now. So with our service we can check, but we're expecting or I expecting no difference between them. If I have to guess, if related to pregnancy losses, probably the one we use the synchronization could be have more pregnancy losses, because the ovulation could be with smaller follicles, because the cows, they have to, with the system, with the device, they're gonna have if they have a good expression, we are expecting they have a nice good follicle with good secretion. So in that case, I'm expecting the system group will be beneficial for that.
But Thomas, in your SRS here, you have two or three subgroups, don't you? You have cows that receive timed AI, cows that were bred in heat, and cows that didn't show heat and received timed AI. Is that how it was, if I recall from your experimental design? It seems like.
Correct.
So you have do you have this group double off sync on top in that SRS?
Correct. So correct, yeah, the cows, they don't show heat or have a low heat will be double up sync, and the cows they have a good heat, yeah, by the color, and then they show double up sync.
So do you know the pregnancy to those AIs, whether she was on Estrous compared to the control double off sync, which is what Rafael is asking you, yeah? So not the double off sync for those that did not show Estrous, but the control double off sync, which I think is what Rafael is referring to, in the pregnancy in those that were observed in Estrous and inseminated.
Yeah, we don't have that in the analysis we ran here. We don't have that results for that pregnancy, but that will be interesting to divide more so we can see better results there.
Yeah, no, I agree. Tomas, there's some questions here on the chat. I'm just gonna read those to you because I think I know you have that turned off. So one of the questions is regarding the economics of these systems. So you mentioned in the summary that these automated systems will lower costs for the dairy farmers. Do you already have an estimate of potential savings, potential gain in fertility, and the cost of the system itself?
Yeah, well, we did one for the farm, because they were trying to, so they like the design of the study, and they trying to implement that. We did analysis, and the analysis show us not difference for using the system or continue doing what they are doing. So for the type of work they are doing and for the things they are doing, if they made some changes, could be better, but So far, there's no difference between them. The color price is around $135 per color, and yeah, so far with this short analysis we have is no difference between how the system or not.
It's no different. Can you describe a little what you consider in that analysis? Because you have to pay for the system. That's one component. The most immediate savings that you'd expect is all the cows that were not synchronized. You're saving the hormones and labor, but also if you have gains in fertility, that would count in favor of the system. So what was included in that calculation?
In the calculation inputs, we have the cost of the shots, the cost of the pregnancy confirmation. We have the labor of the workers. We have the I don't remember. I can show you here. I have a slide if you don't mind. You can see the slide here. Yeah. So the different things we can see is around the shots, how much is the shot, how much is the prostaglandins for different shots, how is the first service, how is the cost of veterinary, the doses of the semen, the replacements, that's the most take the money of the farm, and the colors, how much you save, and then if you see how much the milk production, different aspects more, is no difference between how the system or not.
So should producers buy it?
So I think it's a good way, because you can produce a different if they pay you for this extra value of the milk, it could be a nice to have, because they're gonna pay you more. I think it's good because it's gonna release you for some work, and you can remove some mistakes as well, because you have the cows, sometimes they were bred according to and they're pregnant because of fake heat detection. So I think it's a good way, it's a good tool you can use in your farm, but I think you can complement with better management too. So it's not you're gonna buy this and you're gonna remove all the people from the herd. It's a complementary, it's a tool you can use for being more efficient in your farm.
Good, thanks. Any other questions? I don't think we have any other questions on the chat. So with that, Tomas, just want to thank you again for presenting your data here. It will be interesting to revisit this again once we have the complete data set. So I'm looking forward to seeing this and the integration with the genomic data as well. I think that would come out to be a very good story in the end.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.